What is up, guys? Welcome to Truth and Transparency, Saturday Night Live. We got two capital cases. Let's talk about them.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay?
Focus.
I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right, who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, I've been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Yeah. Some Trulies.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car and the other one.
Nice. Truly's for the win.
Trulies. If you got them, drink them. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to go from Moscow. We're going to go from Jacksonville Beach, back and forth, Idaho, Florida. You guys are here for it, so good evening. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. We're going to have Hector here helping us out. In case you guys do not know, we have a hearing this week for the Brian Kohlberg case. It's a conference status update. I see a lot of dates coming back at us. Well, also this week we have a hearing for Shanna Gardner, that case. So both of these two cases that I am talking about, they have a hearing this week. Shanna Gardner's hearing is way more, I guess you could say, important, because there's supposed to be a ruling that's coming from Judge London Kite. She is going to be determining, I don't know, we're going to get into this. She's going to be determining if the prosecutors committed prosecutorial misconduct. Did they try to mislead the tribunal herself with some wonky exhibits saying follow the money? I talked about it in a couple of different episodes. This week, I thought it was actually going to be tomorrow. It's the 24th though, so I think it's Tuesday. So I did change that. That's posted. But it's very, very interesting because basically what we were saying Detective Payne did in the Idaho4 case, the Brian Kohlberg case, however you want to call it, is the same thing that, so Jose Baez is Shanna Gardner's defense attorney, one of the best. He brought it in an Arthur hearing. And then they had a hearing after that for discovery violations, not turning over exculpatory. And again, just flat out lying about what took place in a unrecorded, again, this is in the Shanna Gardner case, lying about what took place in an interview / interrogation of a critical witness, a witness that made it so that Shanna Gardner couldn't get bond. All right. Now, in Florida, you can have an Arthur hearing, and it's a mini trial. It's for bail. And so it's like a little mini trial. And it's for when, because in capital cases, you're not supposed to get, bail. But in Florida, okay, you can ask for an Arthur hearing when the defense is alleging that there is no evidence to give the presumption of guilt to their client, the defendant. And that's what they did in that case. Now, I will tell you that I watched the whole thing and I wanted to do a comparison. So I'm going to bring in Hector here so people can understand. People can say, okay, these two cases, they're not even anything alike. They're way more alike than we think. And it was very, very like, woo, interesting because both detectives, lead detectives, are first year have ever done a homicide before in their lives. Payne and Detective Johns. Now, mainstream media would conspire, in my personal opinion, over the past 30 days with newly released discovery in Shanna Gardner's case with ATF and their filings, like 250 pages. And I was looking at this stuff. I'm like, this is nothing new to me. You guys must have not have read the whole discovery. But you guys remember how I talked about swingers? Remember how I told you that Mario Saldana was banging this girl, this woman, John Biggerstaff's wife, and there was pictures, and I found the police reports, and I was talking about it. But Shanna Gardner isn't a swinger, but her second husband was. Anyways, John Biggerstaff is now. I'm going to show you guys the headlines with Daily Mail. Like, I lost it. I could not believe what the fuck Daily Mail just went ahead and produced for all of us to go out there and read. And they got some, like, they always come through with some sources. I will say that, but they always get stuff wrong in their articles as well. So there may be an article they produce and they're smack dab on the money with 7 out of 10. But then 3 of the things are just like, where the fuck did you get that? That's not even true. Daily Mail titles their article in labeling Shanna Gardner a killer. All right, so you guys want to talk about the media. Shanna Gardner's this, and I'm going to put it all out there for you guys to see. But, I've been talking about Idaho and the White Rose and swingers in Idaho. And now here we go. Boom. We're over here in Florida, this case that I wanted to cover, this murder for hire case, because I think something's up with it. I think 100% there's prosecutorial misconduct. I think the detective did lie, but I think that they not only just lied on the stand in that last hearing, but I think there's a chance that tire was planted. I don't know who would ever leave a fucking tire on their lawn in connection with a murder case. And yet a tire was used to put in the middle of the road. Like, I just can't imagine that this tire would have just been there for 6 months, 3 months, 5 months. That to me just no way, no fucking way. But hey, or you could just be fucking with the dumbest motherfuckers, and I guess anything's possible then. So let's talk about it. First, Hector, you ready? All right, here you go. Here you go. Let's take a look at this. I went ahead and created. We're going to move in. I compared the two here. So you have Brian Kober over here. All right. Shanna Gardner over here. They're both death penalty cases. Right? So, what is up, Boston? I can go a little further than that. Hold on. There we go. Make it as clear as possible. So, the killing or killings, February of 2022, Jared Bridegan was murdered. Jared and Gardner, they were married from 2010 to 2015. They were divorced in 2015, and they were going through like a legal with like the divorce and the children custody issues, but not the way that mainstream media is putting out there. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't wait to bust all into that shit. And then Brian Kober in November of 2022. So about what? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 9 months later. Okay. And okay, so the arrest then. Now, Shanna Gardner was arrested August of 2023, but Henry Tenen and Mario, they were arrested earlier than that. So that's why it says others earlier. Brian Kober, obviously December 30th, 2022. Both of them were indicted by grand jury. Okay. The bail hearing, also known in Florida, the Arthur hearing, and they also had some discovery violations that they brought up as well. So Shanna Gardner had a grand jury. Brian Kober had a grand jury, both indicted by grand juries. But Shanna Gardner here has had actually a bail hearing, which is in Florida. You can do an Arthur hearing when it's a capital case. And so she had that. And that's actually what the judge is going to be ruling on to see if she should be getting bail. I personally think that she should be getting bail only because there is nothing tying Shanna Gardner to Henry Tenen, who is the alleged shooter. And Mario Saldana that was like his tenant at a piece of rental property prior to them even getting married. But Henry Tenen gave a different account of everything once or twice and then left him in jail. Then he came back out and said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and confess to being the shooter. And I was paid no money up front. And I was paid in a check. Never heard anything crazy like that in my life, right? But mainstream media is pumping it out there that Henry Tenen got paid $150,000. Henry Tenen did not get any money up front. So a big thing for me is that when you hear anybody talk about a murder for hire case, you're paying this person up front, and then there's just a payment on the back end. And that just wasn't the case in this case with what the state is alleging. The state is alleging that this man got no money up front, but that he started receiving $5,000 checks, 2 of them after the fact. And it's going to be really interesting. That's going to be really interesting. Yeah. So again, the reason I think that she should be getting her bail is I do believe that the state 100% lied and tried to mislead this paper trail. Obviously, Brian has not had a bail hearing. Now, both of these two were extradited. So she was in Washington and she was extradited to Florida. Brian was in Pennsylvania, extradited to Idaho. Co-conspirators. Now, I left this part blank here because as of right now, I mean, people out there have their opinions on the Brian Kober case. Some say there may be other people involved. Some say it's just him. So that's kind of left blank. But in Shanna Gardner's case, yes, there are co-conspirators. I agree, Ms. Potts. I've never heard of anybody agreeing to get paid after the fact and with checks. Okay. Who the fuck pays in checks? In Shanna Gardner's case, IGG was not used. In Brian Kober's case, the first thing that was used was IGG. Okay. There is no gag order in Shanna Gardner's case. In fact, Jose Baez had just decided to have a press conference on the steps when he wanted to tell the world, okay, like, oh my God, like what these prosecutors and this detective just did is unfathomable. Our rights, like, holy shit, what are you people doing? And Jose Baez is literally blown, like his mind is just blown of what he's accusing them of hardcore shit. Like he is planning on having the prosecutors as witnesses because they decided to have this meeting with one of the main freaking people in Shanna Gardner's case, a meeting or an interview or interrogation Like 3 hours. 3 hours. You're going to have your main witness, one of your main witness, and not record and have it with detectives, the prosecutors, and what was going on in that room. I'm telling you guys, this woman testified and she said, well, they had all these big blow-ups in this room of these text messages and a picture of me and calling me a co-conspirator. This woman was like, I mean, and I believe every single word she was saying, because I wouldn't want to ever put myself in a situation that I'm going to get up on a stand in a freaking Arthur hearing and lie about that type of shit. Lie. So that I could have the Jacksonville Police Department and all the other agencies I have a big target on my back for them to come after me and I'm going to lie. No. They were trying to basically say that they were going to charge her with being a co-conspirator in this case, which is going to come out here now based off mainstream media. They're saying there's 5 people involved in this conspiracy. 5 people involved in this conspiracy to kill Jared Brigan. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But eyewitnesses, the reason I have left both of these blank is because there is not really an eyewitness in the Shanna Gardner case per se. But there was a witness, like a woman and her child, and the child said, "Oh, I saw a black pickup truck turning around on the street." And he swears it was black, and the pickup truck they were looking for was blue and whatever. But again, when you would say like eyewitnesses, there's a couple different people that are going to testify to seeing, people that look like certain people, but and then we have eyewitness. I mean, if you want to put Dylan down there, you can go right the fuck ahead and put that, but I'm not putting that there. Now, surveillance cameras. Yes, they have, and this is wild. They have a truck that looks like Henry Tennant's truck, not circling the crime scene or anything like that. It's on. It'd be like being on like Main Street in Idaho, like not like right by where the killings happened, but in the vicinity, in the area. And then obviously, as far as surveillance cameras go, I left this blank because I think there's a huge discrepancy. Ring cameras in Shanna Gardner's case, yes, but there's no people on the ring cameras. There's just the gunshots, the time then stamp of it. And I think same with, the ring cameras with Idaho4 case, no person, okay, but there's sounds on it. There's sounds. And I think the ring camera in Shanna Gardner's case, because like they're using that to pinpoint the exact time of this, and you hear distinctive like these gunshots, and that's how they're also using it to like put a timestamp of this is when the shooting was. Remember, Jared was in his vehicle. He had just dropped off their shared kids and was driving home, and a tire was put in the middle of the road to prevent him from. He'd have to like get out to move the tire. And when he allegedly did that, that's when he was ambushed and shot. AV new member, woohoo! Moon Vale gifted membership, turning somebody green. The mom of Kirsten Hockey turning somebody green as well. Thank you so much. So confessions. Now, there was no confessions in the Idaho4 case. In Shanna Gardner's case, yes, Henry Tennant, after spending six months, he was arrested in August 2022 off of a traffic violation, but it was for this case. They just needed a reason to pick him up. And so they got him on a traffic violation, and then he was driving without a license or some shit like that. So they were able to hold him. And then when they got him, they didn't ask him one damn question about no traffic shit. Immediately went into Jared Brigan questions. And he asked for a lawyer, after he's saying like the story that he gave had nothing, totally not similar to them when he went ahead and confessed allegedly, which none of us have seen. but he confessed and then said he's going to get some type of a plea deal. And in turn, he is going to testify against the co-defendants, which are Shanna Gardner and Mario Saldana. Now, Mario Saldana is the husband of Shanna Gardner, even though Shanna Gardner and Mario were like literally about to get divorced prior to Jared getting murdered. It was already said that they were, things weren't going to be working out over there. But Shanna Gardner has never met Henry Tenen, does not know him, has never talked to him on the phone, has never met him in person, nothing. Okay. There is nothing connecting that. So I have an issue with Henry Tenen saying he's going to testify. He could testify all day long, but he's going to be testifying to saying what? I've never met Shanna Gardner. I never talked to her. I've never, legit, it's going to be I never everything. Okay. Interesting. So the victim here to Shanna Gardner is her ex-husband. Now the victims to Brian Kohlberger, okay, no relation, no nothing. Same thing with kind of like Shanna Gardner with Brian Kohlberger. Never had talked to Shanna Gardner, never talked to like the alleged shooter. And Brian Kohlberger is over here saying, there's no connection to me to any of the victims. Plea deals. There's one that's happening because of Henry Tenen. There's obviously Brian Kohlberger stood silent. Trial date. There was a trial date for Brian Kohlberger. Now I want everybody to see this. There has not even been a trial date set in Shanna Gardner's case. Change of venue. This has not happened yet in Shanna Gardner's case. Obviously, we know that it happened in Brian Kohlberger's case, and it was granted. Now, I will say this. Daily Mail has some motherfucking nerve. All right. I'm going to pull it up here and you're going to see the title that they labeled these last couple titles of literally it just dropped this week of the stuff that they want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the prosecutorial misconduct. They don't want to talk about a detective lying on the stand. Nobody in mainstream media has made a big deal about our rights being violated. I mean, it was just in front of our faces, black and white. It happened. It happened. No doubt about it. I went over it numerous times on this channel, but nobody in mainstream media wants to talk about the fact that a detective got on the stand and legit lied. And that the prosecutor was asking such leading questions that it was kind of like a Lally situation in the Karen Reed case. But Jose Baez, here's Jose Baez. Jose Baez called these motherfuckers out, and I love it. He's like, I'm going to have a press conference on the steps because he couldn't believe this. You don't do that type of stuff. But Jose Baez, there's no gag order. So what does he do? He calls a press conference and then he puts in a motion for a dismissal. So Judge Kite, those prosecutors put Judge Kite in a horrible situation. Horrible. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of this judge, by the way. Huge fan of this judge. I think she's listening. Like I said, I think that she was, based on how the evidence was presented during the bail hearing, she said, yeah, this is follow the money, and there's overwhelming evidence that your client is guilty. Okay? Well, then when Jose Baez came back and did this dismissal and talk about the discovery violations and stuff like that, withholding stuff, he then showed the judge, like, hey, you denied her bail because you said follow the money. Well, let me show you how they made it seem like there were bank statements that were from 2022, but they were really bank statements from 2021. But they tried to make it seem like these were bank statements from 2022. Then the prosecutor gets up here. This woman is damn crazy. She gets up and after Jose Baez points it out, then she lies, double down, and lies again and says, we never said that those were 2022 bank statements. We didn't mislead anything. We always disclosed the year. And I went back and listened to every single word. They're in so much trouble. They never disclosed the year ever. It was They were trying to make it seem like those were 2022 bank statements, which has to go with this whole paying of this for this hit. Okay. No. They try to make it seem like Shanna Gardner's trust was funding this hit. No. And holy shit. Like this so mainstream media can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want, but it's gonna affect this case just like it affected the Brian Colbert case. Daily Mail called Shanna Gardner a killer in their last title. Okay. And they're talking about there is drug and human sex trafficking. One of the alleged co-conspirators. He was a swinger. Wait till we get to the article, guys. It's just fucking wild. I'm just like, oh my God. He's an ex-cop, swinger, ex-military. It's fucking complete wild. So here, the reason I think it's similar to the Brian Colbert case is because I think Payne has done the same exact thing. I think Bill Thompson has done the same thing that Stifler did in just Shanna Gardner's case. And like I said, Jose Baez called them out on it. Jose Baez filed the motions and he got the hearing so that he could be heard. Now, the question is when Ann Taylor and company start filing these motions to be heard on reasons to dismiss or reasons to, I guess you could say, suppress shit, they better be heard. What's up, Willie? I see ya. Lead detective, again, first homicide. Both cases, first homicides. All right. Payne, like, dude, 2 years with the force. Telling you, Detective Johns, same type of boat here. Okay. Discovery deadline. Now we know that there was a date, and we're gonna find out what's gonna happen with that. In the Gardner case, it's like they try to make it seem like there was no more discovery because when Brian Colbert was arrested, 7 weeks later, here with the whole Shanna Gardner, like they had already kind of built their case against, it was progressing over the course of time. So they were putting a nice little package of this discovery with a bow on top. And then here we're coming to find out that, fuck your little bow. And there's a lot of things that are missing, or if they weren't recorded. We're talking about wiretappings. We're talking about that this case is going to be so interesting. Lawyer, again, private practice, Jose Baez was retained, public defender Ann Taylor. Both of them are doing very similar approaches. A motion to, so we've had a couple different witnesses testify. That's where we saw Cyray, Mowry, and Payne. And that was for a compelling issue. And that's where we got a real, that was my best way to judge how Johns was talking and how Payne and Mowry were talking. Okay. Someone's lying. All right. Payne said Mowry did something. Mowry didn't. Mowry testified that no, he didn't do that. Like they testified on 2 different days. They got some issues over there, some big issues. They got search warrants that they should have never obtained. Now we're going to talk about the number of police agencies involved in both of these cases, and then the number of police officers / agents. Just Brian Colbert's case, according to Ann Taylor in that one hearing, she said there was like 120 people. 120 people. Okay, we're talking about Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, FBI, Latah County Sheriff's Office, Pennsylvania State Police, then the local Monroe, I think the Sheriff's Office was involved, and then WSU. Okay. Maybe a couple more agencies, but I mean, just keep on doing it. Jacksonville Police Department, ATF, Washington was involved in extradition. FBI Special Task Force was involved. And then mostly it just stayed every piece of paper in the discovery that I have for the Shanna Gardner case is all heavy, heavy, heavy with the prosecutor being involved, and, getting search warrants and subpoenas, and then just Jacksonville, police, the main lead detective. They were flying the main lead detective to the different states to go interview people. Wild shit. We're going to get into it. So, so this number compared to this number, which is, it's not going to be that, it's nowhere near, nowhere near. Okay. So no wonder why you don't know where anything is. It's because you have 120 people got their hands all up in this shit. When I say nowhere near, I'm saying nowhere near. Nowhere near. All right. So now, you guys remember when Ann Taylor and company wanted to unseal their so they wanted to unseal the motion that they filed, it was a motion to dismiss indictment on grounds of biased grand jury, inadmissible evidence, lack of sufficient evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct, in withholding exculpatory evidence. Okay. Both cases here, Jose Baez is accusing these prosecutors of the same shit, basically. And, Ann Taylor. But do you guys remember when they wanted to unseal it so that we would be able to see these 20, I wanted to know what these 24 issues were. You guys remember that? And you guys remember why Brian Kober had to waive his right to a speedy trial? I'm curious to see how that's going to play out here down the road. Remember why Brian Kober he basically had to waive his right to a speedy trial because he was challenging the grand jury indictment and the interlocutory stuff with, as far as that goes. That's why he had to, the grand jury stuff. Yep. Okay. Hold that thought. We're going to come back to that. Now, I want to show you guys. This is going to be wild. So this is trigger warning if you're watching with little ones. So here we go. Okay, now these, I just want you to see that these are the titles of, I gotta get to Daily Mail. Watch Daily Mail, I've already pulled their shit. Okay. Oops. Boom. Do you guys see this right here? Oh, what the fuck? We're going to do this. Right here. Major update in murder of Microsoft executive who was shot dead, execution style. Execution style. as chilling emails from killer ex-wife are released. Do you see that right there? Killer ex-wife. You guys see that? Killer ex-wife. Killer ex-wife. Now, this is why I never go to these stupid sites. Daily Mail, my ass. So I will happily read this for us until I get to this one part. And then I'm going to show you guys. All right. So number one is like everybody should just be like, wait, what? They put killer in the, they just put killer in the title. Okay, this is the same thing that just went on in Brian Kohlberg's case. Major update in murder of Microsoft executive who was shot dead execution style. Well, none of the police reports say that he was shot execution style. Okay, that's just not even. As chilling emails from killer ex-wife are released. Unbelievable. Now, it says the Florida Microsoft exec Jared Bridegan, who was shot dead execution style, and his killer ex-wife exchanged combative emails to one another before his horrific murder. These emails were in 2015 emails. Okay? 2015 emails. Jared was murdered in 2022. All right. Now, this is what they're putting out mainstream media instead of covering what's about to take place, which is all the prosecutorial misconduct and withholding of discovery. Again, Bridegan was shot to death in 2022 in front of his car after attempting to move a tire that was in the middle of the road. All as his then 2.5-year-old daughter sat in the back seat. Awful. Absolutely awful. Prosecutors believe that the scene was a setup orchestrated by his ex-wife, Shanna Gardner, and her now husband, Mario Fernandez Saldana. Phones, an Apple Watch, laptops, and other electronic items were collected from a search warrant of Gardner's West Richland, Washington home in 2023. You guys, this is such old news. No, like this is so old. Now, leading to the discovery of chilling emails that were exchanged. You guys, I went and got their whole divorce paperwork that wasn't redacted. It was 900 some pages. All right. This is what mainstream media wants to report on. And they say the following. Well, until we get to this part. It says, the documents obtained by Fox News Digital give more haunting insight into the unstable relationship between the two. In an email from April 2017, with the subject line as kids therapy, Gardner told Bridegan that their children are caught in the crossfire of living between two houses and that she was sending them to therapy. Despite agreeing that their two children needed therapy, Gardner criticized her ex-husband in another email for not prioritizing the sessions and their children's mental health or providing any financial help. Bridegan responded that he wouldn't pay for things that they didn't agree to prior. As time went on, the emails seemed to escalate and get more personal. In another email, Gardner told Bridegan to quote unquote, move that selfish or that self-righteous pedestal of yours in front of a mirror, to which he responded, why are you ashamed of who you really are? Why cover up all your tattoos in court? Why not be proud of the person you have become? I'm sorry, but like, those are daunting and haunting. Like, what? He also accused his ex-wife of mismanaging money and called her a retard. Wow. In quotes, Satan, be careful. You really should wait to show your hand this early on. I know I know I am. Brightigan wrote another email response, which was accompanied by a smiley face. So they're just like taunting each other. Later, he added, in quotes, "I am shocked you keep underestimating me. Or did you think all those months during our divorce, when you fooled around in the darkness on so many nights and in so many places, no one was ... Again, best to not show your hand this early on," end quote. What? Brett, that was from him. He's writing this. Brightigan and Garner tied the knot in 2010, but divorced only 5 years later. Okay, now, ready? Now, this is the part that I hit the floor when they decided to put this in the title of this exclusive interview that they say they did, or exclusive, whatever they're calling it. It's called it's just called an exclusive. I don't know why, but all right. Oh, wait, there it is. Damn it. Wrong one. Swinger ex-cop. Oh, let me just share this now. Here you go. Boom. Swinger ex-cop John Biggerstaff is implicated in death of Microsoft exec Jared Brightigan. Where, when, and how? This is in none of the police reports, you guys. So Daily Mail is just connecting their own dots, okay, which, trust me, that's fine. You can do that. But so again, Swinger ex-cop John Biggerstaff is implicated in death of Microsoft exec Jared Brightigan, gunned down in murder for hire plot for which ex-wife and 2 others have already been charged. So he believes that Daily Mail believes that this guy is going to be arrested. Okay. Now, dailymail.com can reveal that there are 2 additional suspects, including disgraced former cop John Biggerstaff, 56. Okay. Biggerstaff, there's going to be a picture here, seen in exclusive photos outside his Florida home, served time for sex trafficking and drug-related offenses, and is allegedly a swinger. I love it. I love it, you guys. I swear every case I'm just covering is Swingville. Like, how does this happen? Now, police in Jacksonville, Florida, believe a swinger ex-cop may have played a part in the conspiracy to murder Florida Microsoft executive Jared Brightigan. DailyMail.com has learned. Motherfucker, how do you think you've learned that? What are you guys talking about? Okay. John Biggerstaff, 56, a disgraced former reserve officer with Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, is one of 2 additional suspects in the 2022 murder of the father of 4. You guys know that the police have never said, okay, like, there was persons of interest, like, earlier throughout it. But I believe that if John Biggerstaff was involved, he would have already been arrested. So Brightigan's ex-wife, Shanna Gardner, 36, her husband, Mario Saldana, 35, and his former tenant, Henry Tennant, 62, have been charged in what investigators say was a coordinated murder for hire plot. The most fucked up one I've ever heard in my life, but here we go. It was February 16, 2022, when Brightigan, 33, was shot. Was driving home after dropping his twins from his first marriage at their mother's home in Jacksonville Beach, when he stopped to move a tire that police believe was deliberately placed on the road to lure him from his vehicle. He was gunned down at close range while his infant daughter, Bexley, then just 2 years old, and one of 2 children from his second marriage, was strapped in her car seat in the back of the car. Now, for the record, there are 2 different types of shell casings at the scene, and they are coming from different, like, areas. If you ask me, like, one's coming from the passenger side to the, so I personally believe that there's a chance that there could have been 2 shooters. Now, anyways, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for both Gardner and Fernandez Saldana, who have pleaded not guilty. Tenon, now he's this alleged shooter who was a tenant of Mario. Tenon, meanwhile, is cooperating with prosecutors, having pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and is facing a sentence of at least 15 years. So he's going to do 15 years, okay, and testify basically against these 2. Now, his version of the events of that day, all right, it wasn't like he's like, oh, I'm just confessing right now or some shit. No. He said wild shit. Now, Biggerstaff, who's seen right here, okay, who was convicted. Now, this is where I didn't see any of this in the discovery about convictions for this, but who was convicted and served time for sex trafficking and drug-related offenses. I know that he got in trouble, okay, but I didn't. This is interesting. All right. And drug-related offenses, and described by police as a long-term associate of Fernandez Saldana. Now, wait till you hear how he is associated with them. But he has not been charged yet in the murder, so this is him. All right, and he has a bum leg, by the way. He has like a cane. All right, he's got like a walking stick. I'll show you. There he is. There you go. Oh, shit. So that's him. Now wait for it. Now this is his wife. I thought it was him dressed up as a woman. What is wrong with me? When I first saw these photos, I was like, oh my God, is he cross-dressing? I had no idea. I just thought it was him because I wasn't expecting, like, I was just like, oh, wow, that's him. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just like, oh, wow, he dresses like a woman. No, that's his wife. Okay, her name is Maria. All right. And now this is who Mario Saldana has naked pictures of doing sexual acts with on his phone. Okay. Wait for it. Biggerstaff and his wife, Maria, pictured, who is not implicated in the crime, are allegedly swingers. Images of Fernandez Saldana with Biggerstaff's wife were recovered from his home computer, according to the police report. I think it was on his phone, but whatever. Okay, now, ready? Sorry. It does, doesn't it look like him? I think it looks, I don't know. I was just like, oh, wow, it's his wife. Okay. So, but recently, released court documents and hundreds of pages of police reports reviewed by Daily Mail. You guys, great that you reviewed them, but Jesus. Show that investigators identified 5 people as having been likely involved in the conspiracy to kill. This is not true at all. Not at all. Not at all. And while prosecutors and police have declined to comment on the status of the investigation, sources close to the case have told DailyMail.com that it remains very much active and open. Court documents filed by investigators in January and February of 2023 show that they asked for continued access to wiretaps and to intercept calls. Well, duh, because what's-her-name wasn't arrested yet. She wasn't arrested until August 2023, idiots. Okay. In those documents, Biggerstaff's name is redacted, but a host of, they call him target number 5. It is noted that suspect referred to as target number 5 has known Fernandez Saldana for many years. That Fernandez Saldana dated his daughter in high school. Okay, so Mario dated his daughter, and then all these years later, they come back, in each other's world, and he goes from dating your daughter in high school to having sex with your wife. Jesus Christ. What? Can you guys imagine these people on the stand? How do you know Mario Saldana? Well, I used to date him. And who's your dad? Who's your dad? Bickerstaff. Mm-hmm. And who's your mom? Maria? Okay. Can you imagine that? This guy Biggerstaff knew Mario because he dated his daughter. Again, they had a military background and is a former reserve police officer and convicted felon. Police interviewed Biggerstaff in connection with the murders on Monday, August 22nd, 2022. That is correct. Records from that interview note that Biggerstaff served with the Navy for 22 years. He told officers that Saldana dated his daughter in high school and that he and the younger man became workout partners for years before Saldana left for the Army. The court records also note that suspect identified as Target 5 admitted that he owned a 10 millimeter caliber gun, but said he did not know where it was. Actually, it went down a little bit differently than this. A 10 millimeter gun is what the lab said was used to murder Bredigan. But truly what happened is that Biggerstaff was Google searching right before the murder for 10 millimeter guns. He was Google searching that. That's how that all came up. So Daily Mail, you might want to get your facts straight. Records from Biggerstaff's 2022 interview show that he both admitted to owning such a weapon and claimed not to know of its whereabouts. That's, again, not true. When he got in trouble, he said that his son had to take all of his guns because his guns had to be taken from him because of when he got in trouble. Like, it was like, you can't have any guns. Now, so he said his son had his guns. The report also shows that police believed he lied to them. What? They didn't say that. Jesus Christ. Oh, for fuck's sake. Biggerstaff told his interviewers that he and Fernandez Saldana had reconnected when the younger man returned to Jacksonville Beach following his brief stint in the Army. At the time, Biggerstaff was running a handyman business and did some work at the rental property at which Tenon was a tenant. You guys know, like, tenant and tenant. He told officers he had not seen Tenon for a year or two and that he did not really know him. He also said a lot of other things, like he always rode a bike. He was a biker, you know. It's funny that they're redacting this. It wasn't redacted on the sheets that we got. But yeah, this is all in the police reports. I've gone over those. You guys can take a look at all of these. But I will say that right here at the end. Biggerstaff began describing his knowledge of Shanna Gardner. Biggerstaff advised he made a comment about how perfect Gardner's butt was, and that was the last time they talked about Gardner in front of Mario Saldana. Biggerstaff advised Saldana recently came to him and advised him he was getting a divorce. So Mario telling people the same thing, like they were getting divorced. Biggerstaff advised Saldana described Gardner as being an ex-Mormon and spoke about the court issues between the victim and Gardner. Biggerstaff advised he did not know Saldana and Gardner were even married for a year. Biggerstaff would go on to describe the first time him and his wife met Gardner. Biggerstaff stated that they went to the beach. After the beach, Saldana invited them to go back to the house for a barbecue. Biggerstaff's wife did not want to go, and this was the last time he saw Gardner. Again, you guys can, I went over those police reports back, I don't know, months ago. Look at, now this is Daily Mail. Biggerstaff was asked further about the 10 millimeter handgun he previously owned. Biggerstaff advised he originally bought the 10 millimeter handgun for protection from bears while hunting. This was prior to the arrest. See? Biggerstaff continued to speak about hunting and the bears he would see while hunting. Biggerstaff was asked what kind of ammunition he would use for his 10 millimeter handgun. Biggerstaff stated he does not remember and advised he would purchase it from Academy Sports on whatever that boulevard is. Biggerstaff was asked again where his firearms went to after he had them inventoried after his arrest. Biggerstaff was asked if he had to give the guns away or if they were confiscated by the state. Biggerstaff stated it was a mixture of crap. Biggerstaff advised his son, daughter, and wife were involved with it. Biggerstaff further stated he thought he would, look at how these idiots write. He thought he would get his guns back because he thought the charges against him were BS. Biggerstaff further advised his son was forced to give up his crap. Forced to give up his crap. Biggerstaff was arrested. What? Biggerstaff was asked about communications with him. Like, what is this even? What's going on? You know? But yeah, you guys can just zip through all that. But when I was reading these police reports, it's so hard to get through them because, but I will talk about the swingers lifestyle right here. Biggerstaff was asked when the last time he spoke to Saldana, meaning Mario. Biggerstaff advised Saldana came to his school today by chance. Biggerstaff advised Saldana was inquiring about a job with the JROTC program. Biggerstaff with further, look at this, with further describe, God, you guys suck, his wife and him as swingers, him and Maria. Biggerstaff advised he believed Saldana was also a swinger, but Gardner was not. Okay. Biggerstaff further described the situation when his guns were taken from him. Biggerstaff advised he inventoried all of his guns in 2016 and does not know where they went. So that's when, like, at what time? Like after his son did them, like took them because the son had them. Again, you guys can just read all through all this. But the reason that he was saying that he called Saldana, it's just wild stuff. So in case you guys want to see, here's Henry Tenen, here's Mario Saldana, here's Shanna Gardner. Okay. And so right here, they were talking about that he called them. When asked what he and Fernandez Saldana spoke about on the night of the murder itself, Biggerstaff made a shock claim. According to the report, Biggerstaff stated the conversation was of a personal nature. Biggerstaff advised he and his wife were swingers, and he claims to appear to be, this all claims to be appeared to be backed up by the fact that intimate images of Fernandez Saldana with Biggerstaff's wife, who was not implicated in the murder, were recovered. So he's like, that's what we were talking about. This is going to be one big mess, you guys. This case is going to be insane. I'm telling you, it's just wild, like absolute wild. You know, Shanna Gardner could get her hands on hella money. And you guys want me to think that she performed this, you know, let's do this. No. And we're going to pay in checks. No, give me a break. So there's a lot of similarities when I want to say, how did you say you got to Brian Kohlberger? Okay. How did you get to Henry Tenen? Oh, wait, a tire on the lawn? You think that they just left the tire, the opposite one from the one that they used to set up this whole thing, that they were just like, hey, you know what? We're going to hide the truck. Okay. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to take that spare tire and we're going to throw it in the lawn and we're just going to leave it out here because so that when the cops come by in 6 months, it'll just be sitting there and the cops can say, oh my God, what's this truck tire doing here? And when I say sitting out on the lawn, it was literally sitting out on the lawn of the house that Henry Tenen lives at, where Mario Saldana is the tenant. And he was going there once a month he would pick up the cash, you know, the rent. And you're going to sit here and tell me that Saldana was going there, and he didn't think to take, oh my God, what's this tire doing here? Get this the hell out of here. And just take it himself and get rid of it. No, I'm just going to leave it there. Okay. Because that tire that just happens to just show up almost simultaneously in July when investigators, after all those months, just happen to go to Henry Tennant's house where this other guy, Jeremy Orwell, lived. And at the same time that this tire just happened to be in the lawn, these detectives, Detective John, who just lied, he just happened to go there that same day. Again, it goes to that whole, like, you just expect me to believe that the only thing against Brian Koberger is a sheath with on the button and that you used IgG. Like, that's how you got to Brian Koberger, right? But yet when you got the car, nothing was in it. When you're, what's at the apartment? What's here? What's there? Like, paying with checks, a tire in the lawn. We're talking this murder was in February of 2022. It was out there for half of February, March, April, May, June, July, 6.5 months. Or better yet, it wasn't out there. And then all of a sudden, this truck that they had put in some garage storage place, right after the murder, they just thought to themselves, let's just keep this other tire and leave it in the yard. No, absolutely not. I call bullshit on it. And I believe that tire was planted and that truck was found beforehand. They took it and threw that tire in the yard. Because, what I've been told is that cops, they sometimes have no problem framing somebody that's already guilty, that they think is guilty, but they just need to be able to find a way to to say that they can get to that person, to be able to so we're going to find out, but it does not make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. This, okay, at least the Adelson stuff, I think that family is so wrong, crazy. But we're going to talk more about this tomorrow morning. I just want to kind of introduce it all to you guys. That way you guys can see that we're dealing with very similar things here. And I want to see how Jose Baez is going to run his case. And then we're going to try to see how Anne's going to run her case. But these are two cases that are capital cases. And Florida had that, you can have an Arthur hearing. That's not something you can do in Idaho. But where would Brian Koberger even go if he got bail? They're not going to let him go to PA. He has nowhere to go in Idaho. It's really interesting. But paying with checks, and that's the whole thing, is that nobody got paid in checks, guys. That's the state's case, and they just got upended by Jose Baez. What is an Arthur hearing? It's a bail hearing for capital cases in Florida. You can request those, and those are very rare. And Jose Baez's case was Judge London heard it on for him. So so please just go ahead and Google the shot of Shanna Gardner right now and just look at the ridiculous stuff that's going on with mainstream media with that case and talking about 2016 and 2017 emails versus talking about prosecutorial misconduct and hiding exculpatory evidence and witnesses, for that matter. It's just crazy. But you guys rock. And until next time, we'll see you on the flip side. Peace. Disc that I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay. They all knew about it.